Today we're looking more closely at a lace pattern I've named the Beehive stitch that I introduced in a previous video on 3-row lace. It's linked in the description. I'm almost finished the accessory scarf I started for that video, and I feel like it deserves more attention. We'll explore the stitch pattern design and some charting concepts, and knit a few rows with some surprises, and then look at a few specifics of the design of this scarf. So let's get started. The Beehive stitch is a 3-row, 2-stitch lace pattern that's nice and light and lies beautifully flat. As with many of the reversible stitches on my channel, the Beehive stitch is actually quite easy to knit and is also easy to read your knitting, which we'll see in the next section. Before we knit a swatch, we'll explore the structure of this stitch pattern a bit, and specifically the knit 2 together. I've been visualizing the reversibleness of stitches in fabric a long time, and I still struggle sometimes, especially when the fabric is turned for each row and everything is reversed. So don't worry if I talk too fast and you don't catch everything. You can knit it successfully, I promise. The focal stitch is a knit 2 together, which in combination with a yarn over makes the lace row. The standard symbols for knit 2 together are these. It's a right-leaning decrease, and the yarn over is the corresponding increase. The reverse stitch of the knit 2 together is the purl 2 together. The standard symbols are these, and as the symbol indicates, it also leans right. It's a bit harder to see because of the purl bump. If you turn the fabric, you can indeed see the knit 2 together looking stitch, leaning right. The interesting thing is the direction of the lean when the knit 2 together is on the other side of the fabric. As I discussed in the video exploring chevron stitch, linked in the description below, if a pattern or a stitch slants right on this side, when it's turned over, then it slants left. So a knit 2 together worked on the other side slants left when you visualize it from this side. Let's look at the Beehive stitch in its entirety and how the knit 2 together are integrated in the fabric. Row 1 is a moss row, starting with a purl and alternating with knits. Next is the eyelet lace row, which is a basic knit 2 together and yarn over row. Since it's row 2, it's worked in this direction and on the other side of the fabric, and so it looks like a purl 2 together on this side. The third row is again moss, starting with a knit this time and alternating with purls. The third row and first row of the next pattern repeat alternate knits and purls across the rows and also between them. It's technically a 6-row repeat, so I'll add the remaining rows in the diagram. Since the lace row is now an odd row and worked in this direction, the knit 2 together leans right, whereas the knit 2 together worked in row 2 leans left, as I showed. Notice how the knit 2 together continues from the knit-looking stitch in the row below, which is the left stitch of the 2 stitches knit together. Also, the knit 2 together continues up to a knit-looking stitch 2, which creates a stockinette-looking rib. This has unexpected consequences on the other side with the purl 2 together looking stitch, which is easier to show. So enough diagrams, let's knit. I've cast on just 8 stitches so the rows go fast, plus 2 self edges, just with a long tail cast on. The self edges are needed to contain the yarn over at the end of the row, or I would leave them out for this demo swatch. So row 1, slip the self edge purlwise with yarn in front, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 across. At the end of the row, purl on the right and knit on the left, and knit the selvage stitch. So when we turn, the purl looks like a knit and the knit looks like a purl. Row 2, slip the selvage, knit 2 together, yarn over, across. Notice the knit 2 together continues from the knit-looking stitch, which was made as a purl on the other side of the fabric. And at the end, knit the selvage. Row 3, slip the selvage, knit 1, purl 1, across. Notice that we're knitting into the yarn over from the previous row and purling the purl two together looking stitch and knit the selvage. In the next pattern repeat, it's moss again, starting with purl 1 and knit into the column with the yarn over from 2 rows down. Row 5 is the lace row. You can see the knit stitch is the left stitch of the pair. The last row of the pattern is my favorite part. It's like magic. Here you see the purl two together looking stitch. As we knit into the yarn over, purl into the purl two together looking stitch, and knit into the next yarn over, the arms of the flanking yarn overs are pulled up and end up resembling a knit stitch. I'll back up one stitch and do it again. Here's the purl two together looking stitch, knit into the yarn over, purl into the decrease, and knit into the yarn over. Isn't that awesome? It's not any one stitch that creates the effect. It's the combination of the purl two together looking stitch, the 2 flanking yarn overs, and the knit purl knit combo in the next row. And as we turn the fabric to start the pattern again with row 1, you can see mostly stitches that are or mimic knit stitches on both sides, with some purl bumps to keep it interesting. Looking at the beehive scarf in progress, we can see the full impact of the stitch. The combination of the arms of the yarn over mimicking a knit stitch on one side and the knit two together on the other side creates a wonderful 6-row bee rib between the beehive eyelets. On the other side, the 6-row bees are shifted by 3 rows. You can see it clearly in the swatch of just 6 rows. For the beehive scarf, I've added an extra stitch to the sides. It's a knit at the beginning and end of each row, just inside the selvage stitch, in order to support the lace row. So row 1, slip the selvage purlwise, knit 1, then the stitch pattern, purl 1, knit 1 across, the extra knit 1, and knit the selvage. So 3 knits in a row at the end of row 1. Row 2 is the lace row. You can see row 3 of the previous pattern and row 1 just completed. Slip the selvage purlwise with yarn in front, knit 1, then the stitch pattern with the knit 2 together connecting with the knit stitch on the left. So knit 2 together, yarn over across. Don't forget the last yarn over of the row, the extra knit 1, and knit the selvage. Row 3, slip the selvage purlwise with yarn in front, knit 1, then the stitch pattern knitting into the yarn over, knit 1, purl 1 across, and the extra knit stitch, and knit the selvage. Notice how the last yarn over of the lace row stays open now, compared with the swatch. I've put a crocheted fringe on the end, just a simple chain stitch with a variable number of stitches and attached in loops to the end of the scarf. I'm excited to wear it when it's done, so look for it in future videos. I can see this stitch being used for larger shawls or as part of a more complex piece, either as a horizontal section or as a vertical panel. Another stitch that makes a great vertical panel is the feature in the next video. I think I'll call it the puffy panel stitch. It has some very interesting features. So pick up your knitting and create something awesome. I'll do my best to respond to comments, and I'd love to hear about your favorite reversible knitting pattern. Also feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more awesome reversible knitting. For those of you still here, the last few years I've been working hard to find simple ways to feel better, what I call my daily well-being practices. This is not medical advice, I'm just sharing what works for me. Today's well-being practice is about our eating habits. It seems we're not supposed to be eating 24 hours a day, and midnight snacks, or what my children call dark lunch, are not good for us. We should ideally have a 12 to 15 hour time span each 24 hours where we don't have food in our stomachs. The idea is that our bodies need time to recover and just be, rather than constantly working at digesting and processing. and not snacking after dinner has actually made a difference for me. I eat better during the day, I'm less restless, and my sleep seems deeper. There are lots of videos on intermittent fasting. They are easy to find. Have a great day.